let's just try a really heavy landing. See what happens, shall we? This is against everything I usually do. Let's just be really rough here and see what happens. Here we go. Hello folks, I hope you're all doing very well. We're going to be showing an enhancement pack today for the default 172 here in Microsoft Flight Simulator. Now admittedly I'm a little bit late to the party on this one, but I am very excited to try this, particularly as I'm very fond of the 172. I mean, who isn't? But I do have some real world hours in a 172, so it'd be very interesting to see how that compares in terms of its idiosyncrasies and how the systems are. And this is a really very interesting different type of add-on that I've never seen before, and it's being sold by Just Flight. It is from an add-on developer called WB Sim and provides a significant boost to the realism of the default 172. Now before I go any further, it's very important to point out that this is only for the deluxe or premium deluxe edition of the sim, okay? Because if you remember when the sim first came out, there was different tiers, different levels. I did buy the deluxe premium edition simply because I wanted a steam gauge version of the 172 as well as Heathrow Airport, but anyway, and I'm pleased I did because that means I'm able to also try this add-on. Anyway, enough chit chat. What does this actually do? Well, to be honest, it's pretty exhaustive. This really changes this aircraft to behave very much like the real thing. The electrical systems have all been reworked, recoded, as well as there's 90 plus items that have state saving capabilities. And what that means is whenever you leave the aircraft alone, it will remember what state you left it in. I love that kind of thing. It also has engine wear and tear like spark plug fouling, general engine wear, functional engine priming, starter overheating, and even oil burn as well. You've got to make sure you keep on top of all those things. Now, some of you old timers on the channel, if you're still with me, know that I love this kind of thing. It's actually one of my most important factors when thinking about an add-on aircraft. If it has those consequences to your actions, I do really feel that enhances the immersion tenfold. Anyway, without further ado, let's get this aircraft fired up and I'll show you some of the things I really do love. And I'm only going to scratch the surface, to be honest. There's a huge manual that shows everything that this thing can do. I would highly recommend that you give it a good read. Right, first of all, batteries. The alternator can come online, and I want to show you something very cool here. We'll just put the avionics master on as well. And by the way, usually I've got them on already, but you have to switch them on here as you would in the real thing. This is going to do a self-test. This is the Bendix King KP 140 autopilot system, and it basically works just like the real thing now. How cool is that? And the first thing it's going to ask is what is the pressure setting. So I'll just hit the B key here and cheat a little bit. It already is that anyway, so because I've already gone for a flight anyway. So we'll just display that, click the baro pressure, and that will hopefully, yep, there we go. It's now done its self-test there. You see, straight away, the aircraft already feels different from the default 172. Just love it. So here's the fuses down here, which all work. And when I say they all work, they're all simulated. I'll just take the avionics breaker out and look at that. Fantastic. That's now going to have to do its self-test again. See, look at that. It's doing all of these sort of things you'd expect the real thing to do. Same with the GNS 530. That is brilliant. Really like that. I think the only thing that is a bit of a niggle for me is I really hope that they would enable the doors to work. That would have been a really nice little touch, but unfortunately they don't click open, which I know probably sounds like a small touch, but in VR it's just a special moment when you close the door, you know, in your aircraft. So maybe a future update, who knows, but that would be quite cool to see. What else have we got here? Right, well, basically there's quite a number of things that have really changed for the better. Now you can see the fuses there, but also the ADF is where this is all going on. So what we'll do is we'll just make sure that that is on. Now if you click to the right hand side of the ADF, that's where the magic happens. and suddenly we have this incredible display here that gives you engine wear, your oil level, the fouling of the plugs, and even the colour of the LCD panels. How brilliant is that? Wow, I like the blue actually, but we'll keep it pink. Wow, we've got all sorts of colours here, but I think we'll keep it to this sort of normal colour, which I now can't remember. It wasn't that, was it? No. I think it was that one. Yeah, I think it was the sort of orangey colour. That's really cool. I must admit, I'm a little bit torn by this. I would quite like a tablet with all this information on, but then again, I quite like how it's integrated within a module like you'd find in the real aircraft. So, you know, I guess let me know what you think in the comments below. So this is the engine wear and the oil level, and you can change all these things, including state saving. We definitely want that on, so we can switch that on. Sorry, that's the wrong button here. There we go. And engine failures, yes please. And of course this also works as a normal ADF as well, which is that button there. Fantastic. So with that all being set, I'm purposely going to leave the mixture fully rich so you can see how the plugs foul. We're going to take a little flight just around the circuit at RAF Wickenby, or former RAF Wickenby. We may even sort of head to the Humber Bridge if we've got time. I'm not going to be in VR today, folks, simply because I want you to see the panel in all of its glory, but I am going to be using head tracking. It's going to be the AIM XY head tracker, which I did do a review of a while ago. Love that thing, and it's really, really kind of cool for this sort of thing. But obviously in VR, with an aircraft like this, with the sort of, you know, realism that this provides, well, I mean, it just doesn't get much better, does it really? Particularly as, you know, it's great to see the 172 up to the standards that we all expect, really. Okay, so we're going to start the engine. First of all, we're going to prime, and it's a electric pump here. And bear in mind, I don't think any of the sounds have changed, but to be honest, the default 172 is already very nice in that regard. Best put the beacon light on as well. Mixture fully rich, throttle cracked. There we go. Make sure parking brake is set. One thing I almost forgot to do and actually put the fuel valve on. What an idiot. And the fuel selector to both. And now we will be ready for an engine start. Here we go then. Now watch how the aircraft and the gyros come to life. I really like that. That's very cool. Look at that. And how they're shaking around. That is one thing that I noticed straight away when compared to a flight simulator, is that in the real aircraft, you get shaking dials. And you can see that shaking there. I love that. Okay, folks, so now she should be all warmed up and ready to go. I've just changed the level so you can hear the 172 a bit better. However, please bear in mind, I don't think, as far as I'm aware anyway, that the audio has been changed in any way, which is not a bad thing because the 172 already sounds fantastic. Right, let's get head tracking enabled here. Just recenter myself. And we'll go down here and put our taxi light on. Nav light can come on as well. Pitot heat can come on as well. And we'll taxi to the active. So, time for a mag check. Let's see what the drop is like. That should now be simulated correctly. Look, even the gauges over here, you can see there the oil pressure, which is coming up nicely, and the vacuum, and the fuel gauge. Look at them all. Can you see them vibrating there? I know it's just a little touch, folks, but it really helps make the aircraft feel alive. That's so important in my opinion. Right, here we go. Holding the brakes, and we'll just do a bit of a mag check here. RPMs can come up to about 1800. And we'll check the left mag. You see there the drop. Back to both. And then to the right one. Very nice indeed, like that. At the moment the mags are sounding and feeling very nice indeed. But as I say, I'm going to purposely leave the mixture fully rich to see if I can start a bit of fouling on those plugs. And we'll just go for a bit of a circuit around RAF Wickenby. And we'll also check out the autopilot system. Here we go then. Trim is set. It's a fair bit of a crosswind actually today. Feeding in quite a bit of a right rudder. And we are just about airborne there. Wow, it's windy today. Isn't this sim absolutely gorgeous? It's so nice to be able to record a video not in VR as well, because it's so much easier, I'll tell you that. But don't get me wrong folks, VR is where I would normally be flying 95% of the time. So we're going to keep the engine fully maxed out here on purpose as well. We're kind of going to abuse the aircraft a little bit just to see what happens here. And we'll go for a bit of a circuit, because also included with this package, which is very interesting, is sort of damage modelling. So if you have a few, dodgy landings, that will also affect the struts. Wow, it's very turbulent today. But that is true, because the day I'm actually flying in real life, it's a very gusty day outside. That is Wickenby down below us. It's one thing I have noticed with Sim Update 10 is the feeling of flight in the air. You're bobbing up and down a lot more than you used to, which I really do like. The wind gusts and sort of the overall atmosphere is definitely a little bit more alive feeling. Right, anyway, that's enough of a downwind, I think. And we'll put the first stage of flaps in a little bit before we're supposed to, because on the Cessnas, actually, the flap indication of, well, the safety sort of zone for the flaps is a lot lower than, say, a Piper. That is something that my real-wheel pilot friend actually finds quite annoying in the Cessnas. I'm not sure if that's modelled or not, sort of flap deterioration. As I say, we're not going to be too gentle with this bird today. Not sure if you can tell or not, folks, but it is extremely windy today. And so I'm not going to be too nice with this aircraft. Let's get it on the deck. Oh, there we go. And back up again. That was quite a sprightly landing and takeoff, I must say. And it's funny actually, because I haven't really been flying much recently, folks. In fact, I've probably only been flying in the sim a couple of times in the past couple of months. And it really, I can tell that my sort of skills, particularly in the circuit, definitely need a bit of attention. And that is something I recommend. If you haven't been flying much, say for a couple of weeks or so, just do some pattern work in your favourite aircraft. And you'll find that it will really hone your skills again. Anyway, enough of that. We're now going to head to the north, over to the Humber Bridge, and we're going to check out this autopilot system. Right, so we'll get it trimmed out here. You see how bumpy it is today? Crazy. I don't like them off. And normally I would be backing off the mixture, but I'm not doing that today. In fact, I'm even going to just keep the RPMs right on the limit there. And we'll come down to the autopilot and let's have a look here. We'll go for, yeah, 3,000 feet will do. We'll we'll go for about 700 feet per minute and arm that now. There we go. And we'll use the heading mode as well. There we are, folks. And I do believe that if you engage the autopilot in a roll, the first thing the aircraft will do is level your wings, which is very cool and like the real thing. And again, if you engage the autopilot in a climb, I believe it will default to 700 feet per minute. I'm not entirely sure, but all these things will be in the manual, and just the hidden little details that are available for this bird is incredible. It really is, and brings this to near study level in my opinion. It really does feel like a different experience now, because I'm thinking to myself, I really want to back off the throttle. I want to make sure the mixture is at the correct value, and it actually is. I'm kind of holding back here. I want to do that, but I'm not going to do it for the sake of this video to see what is going on. In fact, we can already see if we go to the ADF. Let's have a look. Oh, look at that. So the spark plugs are at medium fouling already. Ha ha! That is fantastic. That does make me a little nervous, but I'm just going to keep the mixture fully rich and see how we get on. Brilliant. So I've just taken off the head tracker just to show you how much we are bobbing through the air today, and the throttle is still maxed out here, even though every bone in my body is telling me not to do it. And you can see here the oil pressure is actually rising quite substantially there. Also the mixture is still fully rich. Oh, it's so bad. But I'm just going to show you the transponder here as well, which has also been simulated correctly. This is the Bendix King KT76C TSO, and because we're in the UK, if I click the VFR button here, it should, look at that, we're now squawking 7,000, which is correct. If I was in America, for instance, that would be 1200. And I like how when you click that, it goes back to your previous squawk code. You can also change the brightness of the screen as well, I believe, by holding down the 7 and 0 keys. So there's just those little touches that I really do love. And it's just, it feels, I wouldn't say quite A2A quality, okay? I'm not going to go that far. But, you know, it's definitely, if you're a fan of the 172, and I don't think there really is any decent 172s out there in terms of add-ons, for 15 quid, you can definitely have absolutely hours and hours of enjoyment knowing that this has been updated to near study level. I can see the Humber Bridge coming into view, so what I'm going to do now is take the autopilot off, and what we'll do is we'll end the video with a bit of a tour around the Humber Bridge. But as you can see from the ADF here, I'll just go back to that. The fouling is still at medium, and yeah, we're not really looking after this aircraft. And over time, you know, because that's what I love about flight sims. At the moment, I'm touring around Norway in the Milviz Cessna 310, and I've already had to change one of the spark plugs and one of the brake pads. And say if you went on a tour with the 172 or you flew it for hours and hours, over time, those maintenance sort of, you know, things that you need to keep on top of will rear their ugly head. So for instance, a good example is when you're flying the 172, you're going to have to make sure that you hone your scanning. You know, just keeping an eye on the T's and P's, the fuel flow, the fuel pressure, all those things that you wouldn't really normally do in a default aircraft. And I think that alone is worth it for those who really want to up their game and fly like a real pilot, quite honestly. And the manual is really comprehensive. I'll just show it on the screen now very quickly, and it gives you everything that this package does, and literally I'm just scratching the surface. This is just a sort of first look, and I will be sort of flying the 172 over the course of, say, the next 6 months with the state saving, all those things enabled. And, you know, I'll just every now and then post a new video showing you what I've come across when it comes to sort of wear and tear and that kind of thing. So there is the Humber Bridge coming into full view now. We're running Sim Update 10, as I say, with ultra settings, and it's running very nice indeed. Of course it will do, because we're not in VR, but even in VR, I do think there's definitely a performance boost. And DLSS is only going to get better once NVIDIA sort out their drivers and Asobo can address the HTML code. But something like a steam gauge layout like this favours DLSS because you really don't notice that drop in clarity so much. So here we are over the Humber Bridge, Looking very nice, I must say. Free from motorcycles. Just thought I'd add that bit in there. And you know what? I can almost hear the coding going on in the background. Just, you know, as I'm basically ragging the engine here, I just know that over time, I'm definitely going to pay the price. Do you know, folks, you cannot beat general aviation in this sim. It is absolutely mind-blowing, isn't it? But I think that's going to be it for this video. My conclusion is, for anybody who wants to enhance the realism to the point where you've got near study level detail for the default aircraft, I mean, it's absolutely a winner. I don't think everyone's going to grasp the concept of this add-on very well, but for those like me that want sort of consequences to your actions and just knowing that you have to really scan and pay attention to those gauges and really look after your aircraft, it really makes it come alive. That's what flight simming is all about for me personally. I think it's an absolute winner. And that's going to be it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. As always, I do really appreciate your support. Feel free to subscribe, and I'll see you again very soon. Bye-bye for now. Let's just try a really heavy landing. See what happens, shall we? This is against everything I usually do. Let's just be really rough here and see what happens. There we go. Oh, wow. Okay. Now that is realism. We've even got smoke and everything. That is brilliant. That's actually quite scary, folks. But look at that. That's definitely going to be my thumbnail for this one. Right, I'm really going now, folks. Thanks for watching. Go grab it now. I think this add-on definitely brings about a level of detail that we haven't really seen much, particularly for default planes anyway. See you soon.